Jeremy, let's give a little intro.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, thanks, Rod, Brandon, Gil. Thank you guys for having me on. It's an honor, and I really love doing things like this, and trying to help as much as I can and give value, and be a go-giver with my experiences and what I know. For those that don't know me, my name is Jeremy Mateo. I'm a 28-year-old real estate broker, investor, and hard money lender. Born and raised most of my life here in Oahu. And what I'm doing now is, like everyone else, just trying to build financial freedom, take care of my family, and help those who are maybe, haven't been on the path yet or on the way and they just need help. And maybe I'm a little ahead of them and, just help guide them as the same way people has guided me when I didn't know anything.
That is awesome. Helping people is always good. All right. So since today's subject is about goals and visions, how would you suggest to someone starting off in real estate, how would you suggest they set up their goals and their visions?
That's a nice question. So, when you're new in real estate, the first thing is you have to know that you don't know what you don't know. So the first thing I would say is when you're setting your goals is everyone wants they either undershoot their goals or they overshoot their goals. This is every new real estate agent or real estate investor. I say do something that's attainable. One thing you should definitely have on your goals is to find a mentor. That way they can help you show you what you don't know. But as far as setting goals, I want you to look at it kind of like you're reverse engineering everything. First, if you're getting into it, think of, okay, when I think of my life 10, 20 years from now, or whenever it is that, think of, okay, this is the time where I'm sitting down and I look at my life and I think I've made it. I want you to think of the kind of life you're living. I want you to think of the vacations you're experiencing. I want you to think of how many times you have vacations each year. I want you to think of the kind of house you're living in. I want you to think of the kind of spouse you're married to, or maybe you don't like marriage, someone you're with. Think of the kind of cars you have. Maybe if you want kids, think of the kind of kids, how many kids you have, their lifestyle, your relationship with them, how much hours you spend with them each week. Think of all of that and think of the work you do. Maybe you don't want to do any work. Maybe you're the type that you actually get bored if you're not doing anything, and think of how you feel doing work or how you feel, think of all of this when you're first setting your goals. And once you have that clear picture in your mind at the very end, then you reverse engineer that. Okay, how do I get to that lifestyle? And then break it down. Okay, if I want to go to like Greece or Italy or, Japan 4 times a year, how much is that going to cost? If I want a big house, how much is that going to cost? If I want to own it free and clear, how much is that going to cost? Do I just want a Prius or do I want 5 Lamborghinis? How much is all of this going to cost? Now, just keep in mind, no matter how much you want or how little you want, there's nothing wrong with that. It's what you want. And just think of all of that and think, how am I going to get there? Okay, in order to get all of that and afford that comfortably, I need to have this amount of assets by this time. And in order to get this amount of assets, I need to purchase this amount of deals. I need to do these amount of deals. In order to get these amount of deals, I need to get this amount of income to invest. To get this amount of income, I need to meet X amount of people. To meet X amount of people, I need to have these many conversations. I need to go these many meetups. I need to, join these many masterminds. So you guys see how like you have the grand master plan and then you just break it down, reverse engineering it. So that's the way I see approaching your goals.
That's awesome. So with that being said, let's unpack that a little bit. So you said you reverse engineer your goals. So would you suggest like writing it down on a piece of paper? And how far out do you think and how far out do you plan with this vision and with these goals?
Oh yeah, that's great too. So one thing I hear is we often overestimate what we can do in a year and we underestimate what we can do in 10 years. So I think is once you reverse engineer it, once you have the vision, now you have the end goal. Now I want you to write that down. write it on paper physically, or you can like write it on your notes or have it somewhere. But I like writing it down because that way when you put pen to paper, it's tangible, you know. And I remember when I was a new real estate agent, my first goal was I wanted to hit 6 figures. You know, that was just my goal right there. And in order to do that, I had to write a vision board, and we'll share that later. But on my vision board, I had hit 6 figures or sell 5 million in volume. And so what I did was I created a vision board and actually printed it out, and I laminated it, and I had multiple copies of that, and I put it one next to my desk, and then one on my wall in front of my bedroom. So every morning I woke up, I saw that vision, I saw that goal. And then if I'm on my desk, if I'm working, you know, if I'm like feeling discouraged, maybe I'm doing a cold call or someone rejects me, you know, and I put it down, I'm like, okay, I'm done doing this. I don't want to do this. I look over at my vision board, I'm like, nah, this is what I got to do. And I pick up the phone and I keep going. So there's like these little things that you can do to like, you know, keep you going. And if you realize all the things I'm saying, it's really all trying to help you mentally, you know. So write it down, put it on a piece of paper, write it down, or, you know, have it on notes, and then, you know, print it out and make it physical so you're seeing it.
Oh, that's nice. Now that's pretty good. Laminating it and have multiple copies and having it everywhere you go. That's awesome. So give us like maybe one or two things that you would suggest putting on the board that
Mhm.
can actually keep you going. Because you know how sometimes motivation can only last so long.
Mhm.
And when people are down and out, it's like, oh my God, blah, 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 blah. Like, what is something that they can put on the board or something that they can keep saying to themselves, like, okay, this is it right here. This is like why I'm doing something, or this is what's gonna drive me and allow me to just crush these goals. So give us like one or two things that you think that people can put on the boards to keep going, even when motivation is like done.
Oh yeah, it's that what you just said when you're like, this is why. It's your why, you know. And when I was practicing doing vision boards, a lot of people, they would put their family, they'd put pictures of their family on their vision board. For me, I don't have a family, I'm still young, but I have my team on my vision board, and on that it says lead and empower my team, because I'm really big on leadership, and I feel like my team's performance is a reflection of my leadership. So one of my goals for them is to have my team each be 100K 6-figure earners. So whenever like I'm feeling down or I feel like lazy, especially like it's not, I've trained myself to where I'm not discouraged anymore, but it's more so like, I'll be honest, I have my lazy days, you know. And then if I'm lazy, maybe I'm like chilling by my bed, or I'm like, you know, getting distracted. I look at my vision board, I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta be a good leader, you know, like, and a good leader is not scrolling around, being lazy. So that could help too. So if you're really, you know, a family person, or, you know, your parents or your grandparents or anything that you're fighting for, put that on your vision board. You know, there's the people who are rooting for you, put those people on your vision board, you know, and just think like, man, these people are rooting for me. It's a slap in their face if I'm being lazy, you know.
Of course, yeah, yeah. Awesome. That is awesome. Yeah. So putting something down on a vision board to keep the motivation like there and good, and that's solid. What would you say? Like, so somebody is putting down their goals and they're just not getting it, and they somehow just don't get it or fail. Like, what is something that you can give to these guys to like bounce back from failure?
Oh yeah, good thing is so one thing is like you have to you got to take a step back and look at it from like someone is watching you and your life and your career as a movie. So you like step back, being like, you know, a spectator. Like, why did I fail? You know, you have to look back. Was it poor decisions? Was it a lack of accountability? Was I too lazy? Did I not say what I'm supposed to do? And the reason why that's important is because you get to figure out, you kind of answer your own question, why did I fail? And then once you figure out that problem, you know what to do now. For example, is just, you know, for me last year going into 2022, I had one goal, and that was just make $1 million. And that's all I cared about. Like usually I have a bunch of pictures on my vision board, but last year it was really just, you know, the market was up. every flipper who was flipping houses was making money. And I was just like, I'm going to make $1 million. And I had no great why. My why was the money. And I think that's what led me down the wrong path. And, for the people who are watching, I had one bad flip last year that I lost 140,000. Like it wasn't, I lost a potential 140,000. It was, I had to write a check for $140,000 when I sold it, and it sucked. And, during that, like I remember I listed it in February or March,
Yeah.
and it's already 3 months on the market. And at that point, I was like, man, if something on the market for 3 months last year in March, you fucked up. So I was like, oh my God, I was super depressed. And finally, thank God I like broke out of it. I'm good. And I was like, coming into this year, I was like, all right, how am I going to set my goals? And I don't know if Rod's going to share my vision board later, but when I was writing these goals down, I was scared. I was really scared to write a vision board. I didn't even want to do it because I failed so miserably last year, but I told myself like, and it's on my vision board, is courage. That's one of the words I have is courage. Have the courage to still to go and chase after your dreams. Have the courage to set these goals. These goals should stretch you. And, you guys all hear goals should make you uncomfortable. They should scare you. And if they don't scare you, then they're not big enough. And you should put them big enough to where, there's a chance that it scares you, and it should. And, if you're bouncing back, have the courage to still go after your goals and make sure you have tangible goals. Like, don't say, oh, I'm going to talk to more people, or I'm going to make more money. It's, I'm going to do this and put a number on it by this date. So if you're trying to bounce back, have the courage and, just keep going.
Awesome. So do you think when you have failures and trying to bounce back, do you think that messes with people's mindsets?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like failure, I mean, they always say fail forward, and you have to fail. Like failing is good. And it's just, for someone who is not used to it, or someone that like tried so hard and they failed like flat on their face, it messes with you. And that's what happened to me. Like I always thought that, in 2021, I did my first 2 flips and I killed it, made a 6-figure profit. And that's when everything got to my head. I got a big ego and I was like, hell yeah, I could flip anything and then it's going to make 100K. And that's what led to my downfall. And I think once my bad flip was sitting on the market for 3 months, I think that's when I shut down. There were days where I just woke up and literally like, I had some dark thoughts. I woke up, literally the first thing that came to mind is like, oh, another day where my flip isn't selling. And there were days where I'm like, I don't want to be me anymore. And I think like, I lost my mojo and I was like, I don't know who I am anymore. Like I used to be this guy that used to yell, let's fucking go and all of that and hit the gong. And I'm just like, I haven't hit the gong one time in 2022. And my dad was like, hey, I just noticed you haven't hit the gong in a while. And I'm like, thanks, Dad. But but all that stuff I had to realize myself. It took failure to make me realize what my blind spots were and what I'm lacking. And like my first 5 flips, I tried to do it alone. I had an ego. I thought I could do it all myself. And it was through failure that taught me like I should never do anything alone ever again. I should do a JV. I should always partner with someone whose strengths are my weaknesses, And back then I thought I didn't have any weaknesses. And that's what I mean by you don't know what you don't know. And for all those like watching, like, I hope you don't have to have a massive failure like that for you to realize, I hope you don't have to experience the massive failure for you to realize that. So yes, mindset, it controls everything. It's your greatest asset, or it can be, the biggest thing that hurts you.
Yeah. That is definitely true. So like for everybody that does jiu-jitsu, you have one saying, right? So you leave your ego at the door. So with real estate, leave your ego at the door. You can, real estate is one of those things you don't want to compete, you want to cooperate, right? So with that being said, like without competing, how would you like would you how would you go about looking for like a mentor or learning from like other people, like in terms of business, mindsets, real estate, or whatever?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So one first thing is like, if you're kind of new to the space and you don't know anyone, is YouTube. Like find any entrepreneur, find people who motivate you. I mean, if you're into real estate, there has to be someone that like was, showed you like what they're doing and you're like, whoa, that's awesome. So, if you can find people on YouTube, they're always giving out stuff for free. And, they don't have to teach you one-on-one directly, but the things they talk about, the things they post, the content they talk about, you can learn from that. I'll tell you guys right now, my 5 favorite entrepreneurs right now is Alex Hormozy. He has a YouTube channel. Shaquille O'Neal, because he's talked about doing partnerships. He's just a funny big guy. He doesn't know anything about car washes, chicken stop, or any of those, but he has 50 like franchises. Gary V, because he's really good with doing content and not giving a fuck about what anyone thinks when you're doing content, because I think that's what stops most people, is that you're scared of what other people think. And I'll admit that even for me, when I post content, there are still times where I'm like, like, should I post this? I'm scared that people will think I'm stupid, or maybe this won't get that many likes. I'll be honest, I still care about that, and you gotta be able to like not care about what that thinks or what people think. Another one of my favorite entrepreneurs that people know is a Patrick Bet David. He's really good. Also, he has a YouTube. You can learn lots of content from that. And then 5th one is a surprise thing that I just learned about recently. This guy's name is Rob Deerdeck. If you guys ever watched Robin Big or Fantasy Factory, I thought he was just a
Yeah.
skateboarder. It turns out this dude is like a 9-figure entrepreneur. And I watched a podcast with him and Ed Milet, and he's all about optimization, automation. And I'm like, dang, this guy is really like onto something. So those 5 people, if you guys are looking for mentors, they're not one-on-one, but you can learn so much from their YouTube channel. And then, so that's just doing it by yourself. Now, if you actually want someone to like mentor, learn from directly, I just want to give a shout out to my buddy Kalaya on here, who's on the Zoom. He literally did, what you're supposed to do if you're looking for a mentor, is be a go-giver. Kalaya, I met him like less than a year ago, and he asked me like, yo, how do I like learn? And I said, dude, you just got to take action. And he really took the whole go-giver thing to heart. He just started, approaching people like, hey, what do you need help with, or what could you use? And I believe one of the first people he talked to was Alex Camacho, and he started, filming for Alex Camacho, started doing content, and like slowly but surely you started doing all this stuff for other influencers. And before I knew it, this guy's like freaking partying and like going to networking events with like Brandon Turner. And I'm like, dude, I've never met Brandon Turner yet. Like, how the heck did you do that so fast? And it's literally by being a go-giver, just helping people and providing value without anything in return, and networking. And it's by doing those things he was able to accelerate super fast and learn so much. And now this guy like has like 5 projects going on, and now he's like onto looking for multifamily. That's freaking crazy. So if you guys are looking for mentors, that's like a good way to go.
That's awesome. Yep. Shout out to Kulaya. So let's going back to setting goals. Like, so for like, if you had to take somebody that's just starting out, right? And you, okay, what is your goals? Let's break down your goals. We're gonna do a 1-year goal. How would you break down that 1-year goal? And like, what is the steps that you would do? Like, for instance, like, would you do like a year and then break it down from there? Or like, how would you break down that first year for a brand new person?
Oh yeah. So yeah, I do this with my team. I'm like, all right, guys, what is your year, or what is your goal for this year? It's usually like an income goal. And then as soon as they say their income goal, like one guy is like, okay, I just want to do 100,000. I haven't broke it yet. I want to hit it for the first time. The next question after I ask what's their goal is, why do you want to hit this goal? And well, yeah, I asked why they want to hit it. And like, obviously, to be financially in a better place. And I'm like, okay, but let's say you are in a financially better place. What are you going to do once you're in that financial place that, you feel security? It's like, oh, I can do so much things. I'm like what? I was like, I can take care of my family. I can take care of my friends. I can, give better gifts to my friends, possibly donate to charities, stuff I wouldn't be able to do before. And I'm like, all right, there you go. Whatever you just told me about your why, think about that. And now think about, okay, whenever you get tired, whenever you get lazy, think about that why. And then we break it down. This one book I read changed my life. It's called the 12-week year. And I read this in 2018, going into 2019. It was one of my former real estate coaches. And what this book is, the idea is that you have your 12-week goals, but people are so fixated on the end result that like they usually are super motivated in January. From like February to October, they're like chilling. And then November, they're like, holy crap, it's Thanksgiving. I need to like start hustling hard. And they don't really do anything until then. So what they do is like, don't look at the year, look at the 12 weeks at a time. 12 weeks is 3 months, AKA, you know, you have those 4 each year. So just focus now, like when we started in January, let's focus from January 1 and the next 12 weeks. And then in those 12 weeks, what is the main thing you want to get done? Or what do you want to do? It's like, oh, I want to, you know, sell 4 houses. I want to sell 5 houses. I want to make this amount of income. I'm like, all right, let's just say, you know, in 3 months, you want to sell 6 homes. 6 homes, that's 2 a month. And they're like, okay, I need to get 2 sales in this 1 month, AKA the first 4 weeks. Like in order to get this goal in these 4 weeks, how are we going to get that? It's like by talking to people, by, you know, hitting up your old clients, your sphere of network. If you're a real estate investor, I need to reach out to agents in this area. I need to analyze this amount of deals. And I'm like, okay, once you set a number for that, then you break it from 4 weeks to this coming week. You're like, all right. So if you're trying to analyze, let's say, you know, 80 deals in those 4 weeks, that first week, how many deals do you have to analyze? 20. And they're like, okay, 20. So, all right, what do I have to do today? So 20 deals divided by 7, that's 2 deals. I just got to analyze 3 deals today. So when you think about that, it's like, can I analyze 3 deals today? Hell yeah, you know, it's easy. But when you think about it, it's like, oh shit, I got to analyze 80 deals in 1 month. When you think about that, it's like, it's kind of like harder, you know? So if you guys notice a pattern here, I'm always breaking things down. Like when I talked about your grand vision, you break it down, reverse engineer it. And then for your year goal, same thing. You have the 1 year goal, break it down into the 12 weeks. And then after you have your 12 weeks, you have the 4 weeks in the month. Then you break it down into that singular week this week, and then you break it down today. What do I need to get done today? So that's kind of how like I approach everything with myself, with my team. And when you break it down like that, it's more simple, less pressure, because you're like, when you think about it, it's like analyze 3 deals today is a lot less pressure than analyze 80 deals in a month, because like the first 25 days, you'll do nothing. In the last 5 days, you're like, I need to fucking analyze 80 deals in 5 days, you know?
Yeah. That's awesome. So with that being said, right, so you got the year, you break it down into the 12 weeks, and then in the 12 weeks, you break it down within the 1 week. Is there anything that you break it even down? So for the day, like how does your day look, right?
Mhm.
So like each week goes by, there's 7 days in a week. Do you break it down per day, like per day, and then do you break the day down?
So I'll do an example like how I do it with my team is like, one thing we try to do is have like, what are we trying to accomplish this week? You know, for me, it was like post 2 YouTube videos, get 2 appointments. The other guys are like, oh, edit and have this 1 video down by the week. And then what we try to do is like, when I talk to them, they kind of like handle their own things. For me, I try to break it down by day. And then if for that week, if I don't accomplish it, like I do on Wednesday, I do a midweek checkup with the team. Like, hey guys, how are we doing? Like, did we get this done? No. Okay. Make sure to get this done by Friday. But as for me, as like by the day, it's really spontaneous because I don't have a W-2. I'm just an agent, investor, and hard money lender. So our time is really spontaneous. Like someone could call me like, hey, can you show this? I'm like, oh yeah. But what I do is have my set routine. And that is I wake up at 5:50 a.m. I go to the gym from 6:30 to 8. And that's like kind of like what sets the tone. I'm a really morning person. You know, I take pre-workout. So after my workout, I'm like wired. I'm like ready to do the next thing, you know? And then after that, I'm like, okay, I'm answering emails, I'm tackling emails that came in from the night before, checking my social media, doing all that. And then after that, I already have like kind of like an idea of what my plan is. So backtracking, Sunday night, we're implementing this new thing where we have a meeting from 7 to 8, and we're like, all right, guys, what are we doing this week? What do we need to accomplish? Okay, what events do we have? Do we have any events? Is there any like podcasts or listing appointments, buyer appointments? It's like cool. And recently I switched to Google Calendar. Like that thing is like so much better. I used to use Apple Calendar. Literally, I'd have just dots saying, okay, this is what's today. But literally, I've been winging so much stuff in my life and I always forget. Like I'm a very forgetful person. I do have ADHD too, so I don't know if that plays into a fact. But when I switch to Google Calendar, like I can see it like, okay, this time block, this time block. So that's kind of how it is by like day to day, and it can be spontaneous. But since I do content creation or media stuff, what I like to do is I used to just wing it, like I said earlier. But on Tuesdays, specifically Tuesdays, I block out all of Tuesdays. I don't do anything else but do content. So I like script, film, think of ideas, shoot, and then also edit. And I do all that only on Tuesdays. How do you find inspiration for content on social media? It's pretty much like in the beginning, when I was new, I didn't know what to make content about. So literally I would just go on YouTube, type in real estate, or like look at people, what they're doing. I would look at their most popular video and I would just do the same thing, but in my words or cater to my market. And that's kind of like what got the ball rolling. If I had any ideas, I would jot it down in my notes. But sorry, we're kind of diverting now from the question, but yeah, day to day, that's kind of how it is.
Awesome. Are you editing your content yourself?
In the beginning, the first 2 years I was just grinding it hard. But like as I got busy and I started, having more of a budget, I now I hire editors. So my framework is first I have YouTube, I script and film my YouTube video, and I hire Video Husky. Video Husky is like a platform of virtual assistant editors from the Philippines. Shout out Filipinos. And they're like, I pay $750 and they edit everything. And then after that, that's how I get the videos posted on YouTube and do that. Recently, I started hiring a local realtor on Maui. He like takes those YouTube videos, finds like 30, small gems, and then cuts it into vertical content. Because now content, if you guys are like trying to get into the game or understand it, there's the long form videos, which is YouTube, and then there's short form or the vertical content. And both of them are two different kind of, I guess, strategies, but they're very important.
Awesome. With with you talking about social media, and this would be to wrap up with us, how, as a new investor getting started, setting his goals and stuff like that and visions, how would you say social media is for a new investor? Do you think it's important or not important for new investors?
I think it's an absolute necessity. Because if you're new, that's how I started, like when I was a new realtor, I tried everything. They tell you do everything, open houses, door knock, and I tried everything. Nothing really worked. I used social media and that worked. I'm like, okay. So when I became an investor and I wanted to look for deals, I didn't even try to bother with doesn't work for me. I just tried social media. And literally still to this day, it's how I find all my deals. Social media is how I found my deals, my hard money lender, my private money lender, my partners, the people who buy the flips and the deals, like social media is a must. And for those who are starting it or who are doing it and they're kind of like it's difficult for them to stay consistent. I thought of this the other day and it was like, don't think of yourself as a content creator. Think of yourself as the owner of a media company. Like social media is a business on its own and you need to treat it like a business. Because for me, the first 2 years, I just treated it like, oh, I'm a content creator. But when you think about it like that, you kind of like treat it like a hobby, But now if you guys notice, like I've been hitting it hard with social media because I had this mental flip in my mind. It's like, I'm not a content creator. I'm the owner of a media company. And when you think about that, it's like, oh, okay, I'm the owner of a media company. And now you take it more seriously, you know? So
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. So Gilbert or Brandon, do you guys have any more questions for Jeremy?
Sure. I do have one question, Jeremy. It's you talk about intention in your vision board, your really nice vision board, by the way. So you have intention focus on your board. Can you explain how you tackle this?
mhm. How I tackled the board or the intentions?
The intentions, your
Okay,
intentions.
yeah. So last year in 2022, I failed miserably, as you guys I told you earlier, and I realized I was just winging everything. And like whenever I like try to do something, I just kind of give it a half-ass effort. And even like in my personal life, like I notice when I go to parties with friends, I'm like not really there. I'm just kind of like boring, or maybe I'll drink and that I'll do that, but I'm like not really in there. And I found that even like with my family, with my girlfriend, it's like I want to be living life. I don't want life to just be passing by. So that's why I wanted to have intentional focus and being just hyper aware of everything. And I kind of learned this from Rob Deerdeck, who's all about, intention, focus, and all of that. And so the way I tackle it with being like having intentional focus is just being like very aware of my time, my day, and that kind of helps me with Google Calendar, just because it's so visual and like I can change all the colors and all that, and I can see, okay, what am I doing today? And it's also I have this calendar. It's like I'll send you guys, if you guys want a picture of this, I'll send it to you. But it's like a life-size calendar. I got it from Office Max, and it has all the months. And literally, I like put little stickers on there. I'm like, what am I doing today? Or if I have a buyer appointment, I put a sticker there. If I have a listing appointment, put a sticker there. If I did absolutely nothing, I'll put a red sticker there. So after like 4 weeks now into 2023, I'm like looking. I also put like marks of like how many videos I posted, all of that. And like 4 weeks later, I'm looking at my calendar. I'm like, okay, wow, like I just realized I'm posting a lot of social media. Awesome. But I only had one listing appointment, or I only made one offer. Like if I'm wondering why am I not getting deals, well, look at my calendar. It's because I'm not doing action. And that kind of like brings me back to like, okay, I need to like focus in, like I need to stay committed, be accountable to my actions. And it's always just going back to being hyper aware of your actions and what are you doing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Jeremy.
No problem.
Brandon, do you have any questions you wanted to ask Jeremy?
Thanks, Gil. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of good gems that Jeremy shared with us tonight, and I was taking notes here. The last thing I kind of caught was just changing your perspective. You went from content creator to that whole media business owner, right? And that definitely will change the way that you operate and the type of goals you set and how you go about your day. So I do have a question, but actually I'm going to save it till after our investor spotlight. And in this segment, Investor Spotlight, we get to hear from an up and coming investor and somebody that I got to know quite well over the last year. And I'm just looking forward to hearing what she's been up to and to catch up a little bit and see where she's going. So I'll let her introduce herself, but I just want to bring up Miss Shauna Kamaka. Hey, Shauna.
Hi. Thanks, Gil, Brandon, and Rod for having me. My name is Shauna. I'm a real estate investor and a stay-at-home mom of 6-year-old twin boys. I wanted to invest for a while. I knew I wanted to do the BRRRR method, but I also knew that I needed a mentor to hold my hand and guide me. So I found WNN Properties and I talked it over with my husband and he said, go for it. So I did. And I had Brandon as my mentor. And for the first 5 months, I overanalyzed properties and tried to find the perfect BRRRR. And in the beginning of 2022, that was pretty difficult to find as a newbie on the MLS. And so Brandon pretty much told me, you can analyze deals all day long, but you'll never really know how the deal is going to turn out unless you do the deal. So I finally got my first property 5 months in. It was a hybrid burr. So with a hybrid burr, the R's are reversed. There was a renter in it already, and the renter had 1 year left on their lease. So the rehab would be done after the renter moved out. So factored all of that in and got my offer price in, and it was accepted. And really that first property just snowballed everything. I mean, I learned so much from that one property that everything Brandon was telling me in that first 5 months finally clicked. And basically I said, I have 7 months left on this mentorship. If I'm gonna use it and really take advantage of it, I need to buy as many properties as I can get and learn from as much as I could from each property. So after that, my mindset shifted. I was into, let's get properties. Second property was off the MLS. It was a cosmetic rehab, so nothing huge. Third property was an off-market property, and that was by design because I wanted to experience getting an off-market property, and that also was a cosmetic flip. Fourth property, I call that my gut check property because it was a great property off market, price was low, but it needed a major rehab. And when I ran my numbers, it was like, this is the property that everybody talks about, you know, like the one. And I was so excited. And then I got the rehab bid back from our trust and tried GC, and it was way off from what I had said. It was over $100,000 rehab, and my jaw dropped to the floor. I panicked and called Brandon, and I was like, oh, is this for real? Like, what do I do now? You know, it didn't kill the deal, but it didn't look as good as nearly as good as it was. And so Brandon, being the very calm person he is, talked me down, and he said, you know, you got to get back to basics. You run your numbers, run your ranges, worst case scenario, revisit why you wanted this property, your goal for the property. And at the end of the day, you do a decision that you can live with, and you take accountability for that decision. And so I got off the phone with him and made my decision that was, I liked the property. I loved it. I loved the neighborhood, and I wanted to do a major rehab. So I said, let's go, let's do it. So we got that property. And then right at the end of my mentorship, I squeaked in a duplex. And that was also because I wanted to see what doing a small multifamily was going to be like and experience that. And so, yeah, that was my year-long mentorship. I ended up getting 5 properties with the help of Brandon and the WNN community. And I'm just kind of looking really forward to 2023.
Nice. So speaking of 2023 and, you know, Jeremy talking about goals and vision and all the different things that we could do to create goals. What is your one big goal for this year, 2023? What is it you want to accomplish?
You know, I said 10 properties back in my accountability group. And then I saw Blaze's post about BHAG, right? Big, hairy, or something, audacious goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, okay, let's go for 20 and see what happens. Let's give it a whirl.
Right on. Right on. I love it. Cool. So yeah, totally doable. Just like CJ said. So right on. Thank you, Shauna, for sharing your story and putting it out there to all of us, right? So you guys heard it from Shauna. She's shooting for 20 properties in 2023. So let's support her and see her at the end of the year and just kind of see what she creates. So thank you, Shauna. All right. I want to go back to Jeremy really quick before we kind of transition over to the next part of the call. And, you know, one thing I wanted to ask you, Jeremy, is, well, thank you, first of all. 2022, you said was a difficult, challenging year, right? So now that you've gone through it and you have this new perspective on looking forward, you know, it didn't hold you down. If anything, it made you stronger, and you want to hit the ground running and go after bigger goals. So what would you, if you were to run into somebody at Starbucks that, you know, they're a 20-something-year-old they had a rough 2022. They're feeling like giving up, right? They just, you know, like yourself, lost a whole bunch of money or got burned by partnerships, or just there's no hope or not a lot of hope. What would be one thing you would share with that person for that short window of time that you're in front of them to inspire them or motivate them, or just, you know, let them know like, hey, you know, you got this, you know, what would you share with him or her?
Oh, I love that question. Before I answer that, I just want to say, Shauna, thank you for sharing. You have amazing goals. I love it. And good job on building that portfolio. Like, I don't even have a portfolio. I just have my primary. So that's like awesome for you. But anyway, yeah, Brandon, if someone, you know, they're feeling hopeless, you know, probably they failed, they tried something, didn't work out, you know, I would probably say what my mentor, Ryan Pineda, said. It was one of the last masterminds I went to. So this is probably, I think, late September. I didn't even want to go to the mastermind. I felt embarrassed. I felt ashamed because I have all these deals sitting. One deal, the bad flip I had wasn't going my way. And I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, I don't want to show my face in front of all my, you know, fellow mastermind people, my fellow coaching group, because I suck and all of that. And I'm glad I went, and I kind of like approached him on the side. I'm like, hey dude, like, just want to say, you know, thank you for this. Like, I felt really crappy. I felt hopeless. I felt like I don't belong here. I don't belong in a mastermind. Like, I'm so stupid. Like, who would do this, you know? And he said, dude, like, you're young. You're 28 years old. You're supposed to make mistakes, you know? In the beginning, things are supposed to go wrong. And he was like saying like, do you think Warren Buffett, you think all these greats, you think Grant Cardone, you think all these people have a perfect track record? You think everything went according to plan 100% for them? I'm like, no. He's like, no. And do you think when they fucked up, do you think they thought they sucked and quit? Obviously not, you know? Like, you're still early in the game. And even if you're not young age-wise, you're early in the game of investing or whatever you're trying to accomplish. And you have to realize that in the beginning, it's supposed to suck. It's supposed to be hard. And once you embrace the suck, once you embrace like, no, this is just how it's supposed to be, you know, just think of it like, you know, when you're cooking a steak, it's raw, it's flaccid, you know, it's pink. Like, you don't get it just like that. It's supposed to be like that because it's raw. But once you know, spend time to season it, you know, do all this special stuff, butter it, wait till the pot heats up, wait for the oil to get hard or hot at the right time. Then when you put it and you cook it and you're paying close attention to the steak so you don't overcook it, that's when it starts, you know, getting to that point where like, oh wow, this is something, I'm onto something, you know? Like anything, it's called the process. You know, a cake doesn't come out of the oven, or it doesn't start off as a beautiful cake. You have to put all these special ingredients. You have to put it in the oven at the right time. You have to preheat the oven. You have to take it out at the right time. You have to give special care. So you have to, I would tell this person like, hey, this is just a part of the process. You're at the beginning. You're at the point where you're learning, you know? And one thing I always told myself when things really got hard was that this is just part of my story. This is the story. This is the epic story that I'll tell many people, thousands of people, when I'm on stage years from now, telling them about my story. And I remember, for any Patriots fans or Tom Brady's fans out there, in Super Bowl 51, when they were playing the Falcons, they were down 25 points at halftime. And Julian Edelman goes to Tom Brady and he's like, hey, this is going to be one hell of a story. And that's what I think when I'm like down and out. And for anyone else who feels down and out, just think to yourself, this is just a part of my story, and this is going to be one hell of a story.
And there you go, folks.
Oh my gosh, I just pulled that out of my
part of your story.
Oh my God.
Right on. No, good stuff. Good stuff. Right on. I skipped over 2 questions. I want to see if we can squeeze this in with the remaining time we have before the hour gets done. Curtis asked, what do you feel is more important, trying to stay motivated or trying to stay consistent?
Great question. And I want to reframe that as what's more important, being motivated or being disciplined. because consistency is discipline. And I'll say discipline is way more important than motivation. I mean, you guys know me, like I'm a very rah guy, like loud guy, but that can only happen, or you can only have that for so long, but it's the discipline that'll keep you doing the same thing over and over again. Because when you're disciplined, you do things whether you feel like doing it or when you don't feel like doing it. When you're motivated, you're only doing things because you feel like doing it. So it's more important to be disciplined because you're doing it regardless. You feel it, you don't feel it, you're still doing it. So be consistent, be disciplined.
Absolutely. Yeah, our feelings fluctuate. They go up and down. How can you rely on that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then last question here from Avelino. What are your top 2 good habits you are trying to create this year?
Oh yeah. So it's on my vision board is 1, intentional focus. Like Gilbert said, I want to be experiencing the moment. I want to be, making sure that I'm paying close attention to, the things that I'm doing. One of Corey, if you guys know Corey Namoto from Keiko Capital, he got back from Vegas and he said he like had a meeting with like a billionaire and like other like multimillionaires, like 8-figure net worth people. And he said that when they're talking to them, they have full eye contact. They're engaged into the conversation. And before I found myself like, I could literally be talking to someone and then my ADHD acts up and I'm just like thinking of something else, or it goes one ear and out the other. So one thing is I want to have intentional focus. And another thing is I want to have accountability. I really lacked that last year. Like I'd say I'd do things, but like I didn't end up doing that. And so being brutally accountable with myself and making sure I get things done. And I guess part of that is like, procrastination. I would procrastinate so much. Like one thing I realized is like, I'm a messy person. So down to little things like, washing the dishes or putting things away. Like one thing I heard was like, if it takes 30 seconds or less, or even a minute or less, do it now. So those are 2 habits I'm trying to really focus on this year and keep forever.
Good stuff. Yeah, definitely for me, accountability has helped me in my journey and in other people as well. So yeah, right on. Now, I don't believe you got to share what's the best way we can get in touch with you if anybody's not already connected to you. So if somebody wants to talk to you more about vision and goals or just about whatever projects you got going on, you got, okay, phone number and anything else?
Yeah, phone number is there. My Instagram is at the Jeremy Mateo. And then also if you want to email me too, I can put that there, info@jeremymateo.com, Instagram and YouTube too. Like that's just for your viewing pleasure, but Instagram, I'm always going to answer. I'll try to always answer. Sometimes the messages disappear. I don't know, but that's my direct number. That's my personal number. I don't have an assistant or a VA for my number. Like that's me. And I always have my phone on me. So yeah, you'll get an answer from me sooner or later.
Right on. Cool. So everybody, Jeremy put his info in the chat. If you want to get connected with him, take it down, follow him on Instagram. And yeah, Jeremy, thank you so much for just dropping all these gems and sharing your story. And just, I can see how you want to help other people, especially knowing where you came from and just wanting to be that encouraging person. So thank you, Mr. Jeremy Mateo.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. I'm so honored to be here and like talk to people. And yeah, like guys, I'm an open book. If you have any questions or need advice, whether it's business, professional, life, relationships, like I'm an open book. And I wear my heart on my sleeves. I'm a Pisces. So if you guys need anything, like I'm always here. And I like last year, going through last year, that like sucked ass. And I don't want anyone to feel like that alone. So just know you don't have like mental health is a really important thing. So if you guys need anything, I'm always here. And I can't wait to join WIN. I talked to Brandon about this probably in September, but as we all know, the market went down. I had a 140K loss and things didn't go according to plan. But once, I get my life together again and these flip sale, I'll definitely be joining WIN. I'll be joining Sub 2 and just surrounding myself with like great, awesome, supportive people who I can pretty much call my family. And I already get that sense from all you guys and seeing you guys on social media. So thank you guys again for having me.
Good stuff. All right.
And Josh, yeah, if you need hard money loans, let me know. Keiko, we got you.
Right on. All right. So everybody don't go away yet. That was just the first half of this call. We are going to be transitioning into the next segment where we're going to go on to breakout rooms and start networking. So I want to request that if you guys are capable to come off camera, we want to network and get to know each other. We're going to be in discussion. If you are unable to, then kindly remove yourself so that we can set up the breakout rooms and just, make them even. As you guys are doing that, I do want to go over some announcements. So next Westside Meetup's happening February 22nd, 6 p.m. We're going to be going over the topic of multifamily and syndications. So that happened to be one of the popular topics that you wanted to hear about. And we have a guest coming on. His name is John Lopez from 9 Doors. What is it called? 9 Doors Down. It's a multifamily syndication firm. So we're going to be having him next month talk about multifamily. And then also February 10th here on Oahu in Ewa Beach, we're going to be having real estate at the park. That's happening at 7 p.m. It's free. If you want to come out, you're on that side. We're going to talk about out-of-state investing and kind of what we do here on Westside Meetup. Networking, learning about each other's goals and seeing how we can support each other. So if you're free on Friday, February 10th, 7 p.m., we're going to meet out at, I believe the park is called
Ewa Mahiko Park, the one right on Renton Road. Be there. Park. Yep. 7 p.m. And again, thank you, Jeremy. Great stuff. Can't wait to excited to see what you do in 2023, man. Let's get it.
Let's go. Let's do it together.
There you go.
All right.
In the chat, I'm going to throw something really quick just for you guys to get connected with Gilbert, Rod, and myself, along with Jeremy and Shauna. And remind you folks too, we got the roster and the links to get connected with Westside Meetup. Go ahead, Gil. You're going to say something.
Yep. I'm going to go ahead and start opening up the rooms. So who you are, what you do in real estate, and how are you crushing your goals for quarter one? You guys ready? Here we go.